Hi and welcome to cgboomer.com. My name is Hans Erickson and today is session 0 in my anthology of making my short film, An Old Dog Learning New Tricks. And this is kind of a re-recording of a session that I did some time ago. In fact, it was one of my first ones. And the reason I'm re-recording it is, well, number one, I didn't like the quality of the film, and the other, I really missed a lot of key points, so I just kind of wanted to redo it and kind of start over from scratch on it. So I'm entitling this one How to Start a New Project, and it really began my whole anthology to making my short film started back in November of 2011 when I watched a presentation by Andrew Price he delivered at the Blender conference entitled How to Raise Your Profile as an Artist. And I might as well bring up that website here. And it's either on his site, and I'll provide those links, or you can watch it on Vimeo. And he also has a text version, but I really encourage you to watch the video. It's I think it's pretty spectacular. And in it, he laid out some basic reasons and things that people need to do if they're really serious about working with Blender and doing some things. One of them was he encouraged everybody to, advertise by making a website, which I did. And he also had said that one of the other things you should do is do a lot of social networking, such as Twitter and Facebook and all the social networks that are out there, which I have done. And the other thing was to make a short film. And after listening to this, I was actually pretty charged up. As you know, that I have been, had been recently retired about that time, and I found myself with more time than money, and which is usually the case when you retire, especially when it was a forced retirement and a little unexpected with the downturn of the economy. But I got challenged and I decided, what the heck, I'm going to go ahead and do everything he outlined in this video or this conference. So I instantly, I had made my website, and of course there was nothing on it. And actually my first website was a little on the cheesy looking side, but I hope I've improved it since then. Like I say, since I've started a little over a year ago, I've made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully I've made more improvements than I've made mistakes. Excuse me. But one of the things that I knew I was going to have to do was to go ahead and start my short film. And to kind of clarify a few things, I don't really propose that that I'm doing tutorials, but I really call it more of an anthology. And the steps I've done and the mistakes I've made and how I've gone about in making my short film, which as to date is not complete, but I've made tremendous headway, so I'm moving right along. But one of the things was, how do I start a new project? What are the steps that I take? And I kind of come up with these solutions, and the very first step was, I just call it step 1, and it's turn off the damn computer. And you may say, well, but Blender's on the computer, and all of these things that I need to do are on the computer. Well, actually, the first thing you need to do is turn the damn thing off and sit down with pencil and paper and kind of think about what it is that you want to do. And let me kind of give you a real brief example. Here we have some artwork, and as you may know, it's rather famous. It's the Mona Lisa. And the other one next to it is, and I cannot pronounce it, the name of it starts with a V, the Vittoria or Man or something like that. I can't pronounce it. But anyways, they're both very famous drawings by, or pieces of artwork by Leonardo da Vinci. And the real question I need to ask, and this probably, the Mona Lisa is probably the most famous of them all. And the one thing, that you may ask is, which came first? And the answer is this one right here, the drawing of the naked man there. And the truth is the Mona Lisa, which is a great piece of art, was done in, I believe, 1505, and this other piece was done in about 1485, and it was actually a collection of drawings that he had done when he was interested in studying human anatomy. Now, the truth of the matter is he would have never done the Mona Lisa as well, or probably not at all, had he not sat down with pencil and paper and studied. And that's exactly my point here, is the Mona Lisa is, we can consider it a piece of storytelling. And what we want to do is, or what I want to do is, I want to create a project, and I want to create a short film, and it's going to be digital, but I want it to tell a story. Excuse me. The Mona Lisa, of course, is just a single frame photo or piece of artwork, but it definitely tells a story. There's volumes written on what it is she's saying. Why is her hand draped the way that it is? Her eyes and her nose and the half smile on her face, and the fact that it seems to follow you as you walk around the room. All of the whole thing just enthralls people and tells a great story. And one of the things that I came across while I was doing a little bit of research, and let me open up my web browser here, was I was going through Blender Art magazine, and at the time it was issue 30, and one of the things I noticed in there was the 7 elements of digital storytelling. So I opened it up and I began to read a little bit, and it referred me to this link over here, the 7 elements of storytelling. And it was created by the Center for Digital Storytelling. And in it, it gives the 7 great elements of what it is that you're trying to get across when you're trying to tell a story, especially in film or in a digital point of view. And these are the questions that you need to go through and you need to plan out. And of course, the first one, the point of view, is what are the main point of view of the story and what is the perspective of the author. And I began to kind of think about that. And one of the things that I kind of came up with, and what is relevant to me, was, well, I was born in 1947, which kind of tells you I'm a little bit on the elderly side. And you just have to really kind of realize how the world has changed since I was a child. I mean, I remember when one of my friends actually got a TV, and we didn't quite have one yet. We were still kind of listening to the radio. And I remember the first time we brought in TV. And, that may seem real foreign to a lot of the younger generation, but radio to me was a wooden box that was as tall as me that stood in the living room, and people huddled around to listen to old time stories like Amos and Andy and Fibber McGee and Ollie and stuff like that. And it wasn't until late in my let me see, I believe I was just kind of getting into junior high school or just getting out of junior high school when the advent of transistor radios came out. And wow, what a deal. And we would all walk around with these AM, we didn't really have FM at that point. You could get FM, but that definitely wasn't in a hand-carried radio, and if you did have it, it was worth money like you couldn't believe. And I'd carry around this AM radio that was full of static and listen to music in AM, and the damn radio was as big as my lunchbox. And it was shortly after that they came up with a calculator. And a calculator was something that sat on a desk that you had to hardwire plugged in, and it could add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and probably cost about $700. It was just unbelievable. And today you can find these things on wristwatches that cost $15. So many. I remember the first time when the Sputnik was the very first satellite from Earth was put into orbit, and people would look up in the sky and you'd see this faint little glow in the night sky, and would think that the Russians were peering on us as this thing went around the Earth, and it gave out this rhythmic beep, 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 beep. And the actual truth of the matter is that's all it did. It just went around the Earth and beeped. It really didn't do anything else. But and I remember Star Trek came out about the same time and on TV, and the world just began to change more and more and more. And today, well, you all know what we have today. We have phones that are little basic computers in themselves, and everything is connected by Wi-Fi, and the world has changed so much. So I kind of decided that was going to be the main part of my story, and the perspective of me, the author, was how the world had changed. And that is also the dramatic question, a key question that keeps the viewer's attention and will be answered by the end of the story. How has it affected me as a person? And the emotional content, serious issues that came alive in a personal and powerful way, and connects the story to the audience. You may not be connected, some of the younger audience may not be connected in the way, but hopefully I'll be able to develop the story in such a way that you'll be able to draw inference from where I came from and where I am today. The fourth element, the gift of your voice. Now, some people may say that is how the actors or whatever sounds within the story, but that isn't quite everything. That's an element of it, but the other element of the gift of your voice is how does the film itself speak, and how clearly and concisely does the film personalize uh, and tell the story of the context. The fifth one, of course, is the power of the soundtrack. Now, music is not my forte, but I do have a friend. I have several friends that are very adept at music, and I've been kind of collaborating with them and talking to them, and they've agreed to help me when it comes time to putting music to my story. And of course the economy, using just enough context to tell the story without overloading the viewer. In other words, don't make it so darn long and so full of stuff that people get bored. Basically, I want to be able to tell the story of how this has affected me and get the hell out. And the other, of course, the rhythm of the story and how slowly or quickly it progresses. And obviously, you want it to develop in a way that it tells the beginning and the middle and the end, but you don't want it to drag. So you want to keep the pacing just right. At some points you may want to go a little slower, and at other points you may want to go a little faster. And I really encourage people to take a look at this website here. It also has some other links in it. I think this one here, the Digital Cookbook, I think, is what it is that I want to show you. That wasn't it. So let me try. That wasn't it. And I keep pressing that one. I don't know why. The cookbook. There it is. The Digital Story Cookbook. And this is some other great reading. And again, I will add that to my links so that you can go through and kind of read through this. It has a tremendous amount of information in it, and what to watch out for, what to do, what not to do, and I would highly recommend that as some good reading. Well, once I kind of got my story, the idea in there. And pretty basically, my story is, and I'll get more into that, but I knew I needed to write a script. And I kind of struggled with pencil and paper for a while, and at this point I did turn on the computer, and I found this one website here, Screenwriting Info, on how to write a script. And I kind of went through and I read everything in here, and this here is a tremendous resource to go ahead and take a look at. But one of the programs that I use to do this all with is Celtex. And Celtex is a great program. There is a paid version and an unpaid version. I use the unpaid, of course. The paid version really doesn't have a lot of the stuff that I want in it. But it does. Let me go ahead and open that up. I'll just open up a raw version here. Let me find a link to it here. And here I go. And I'll just go ahead and open up one of their sample projects here. It's not super complete, but it kind of gives you an idea of what it does. If I can drag this thing over to the other window. Here we go. And in it there is just a tremendous resource of things to help you prepare, but one of them is, of course, the script, and it's highly advantageous to go ahead and write a script and then to do the screenplay adaptation of that. In that writer's guide, it really tells you how to kind of do that. And as you're writing the script, it kind of gives you an idea of what it is that you need to do. So you start out with a screenplay, and from there you go to the storyboard, and here you go ahead and set up the storyboard, and it kind of gives you your shots and what it is that are kind of going for, and kind of get a little pre-production planning. And the next thing that it has is your catalogs, which are the things that you're going to need to uh, to do your stuff, from sound to characters to actors, to props that you're going to need. But it's a great planning and resource to help you kind of muddle your way through putting your project together. So again, another great tool. There's hundreds of great tools out there for to use. So I'm not going to bore everybody with a lot of information here, but I did want to kind of introduce what I did and how I kind of got started, and why I got started. And basically my story is going to be about a fuddy-duddy old man that kind of starts out in a basic room with furnishings, old-time furnishings, which during the course of the film will be magically transformed into new things, up-to-date things. His whole life is going to change before him, including his appearance and how he reacts. He's probably going to start out probably not on a walker, because I'm not using a walker yet. But he is going to start out as, I say, a fuddy-duddy, cranky old guy. And as his world changes around him in a magical way through the power of Blender and the power of the digital things around him, his life is going to change, and how that affects him, and how much Blender has affected my life, I hope to be able to portray within my film. So I'm not going to go into much more. I just wanted to kind of give you a brief introduction in how to start a program, or how to start a project, and the resources out there to get started with. Excuse me. And my next session will be probably in starting my props. So until then, I want to thank you all for listening, and happy blending.